Beeparoonies, KP back with another character yapping video. The past couple videos I've been introducing you to some of my characters that I have up on my Artfight and telling you a little bit about them. I held a vote on both my community tab and my Discord, and as of making this script, two of the themes were at basically a tie, and that was OC couples and fantasy, although OC couples has taken the lead now that I'm recording this. Today's video will be the couples. I already decided that, so we can get into that. And hopefully the next video will be the fantasy-themed characters for you. Before I get into the characters, a quick little spiel. Artfight is an art trading and gifting event held all through July, and it's one of my favorite times of year for sure. If you're new to Artfight and want to learn more about it, there is a ton of super helpful videos out there on YouTube, so that you can search those up. I'm on Team Comedy this year, and also I don't do friendly fire, so if you're on Team Comedy and don't like to attack people that won't attack you back, just keep that in mind. I will not do friendly fire. Alright, back to my OCs. I have characters that are couples or couple adjacent that I went over in previous videos or are planned to be talked about in later videos. I'm going to briefly mention them right now. First is the couple from last video. Well, couple adjacent. Winter and Eric from my comic story, Won't You Be My Nemesis? Eric is in love with his nemesis, who he doesn't know is his best friend, and she has feelings for Eric. Simple, cutesy, little love triangle thing going on there. And for some couples that I will talk about in later videos, we have Bonnie and Oswald. I have not added him as of recording this, but he is on my list of characters that I want to add very soon. We also have Winifred and her husband Ramsey. They will be coming up in the same video that Bonnie and Oswald will be in. Next, we have Cass and Kistrana, or Rhodey, if you will. They'll be in my next video, actually. And the last two brief mentions are for Calliope and Pelea, and as well as Sepia and Gwen. Those two will show up in a later video. Now we can get to the characters that I have ready for this video. First, I'll start off with my OCs, Gareth and Lawrence. These two are new for the Artfight year. Garth is the son of my OC, Alara, and my other OC, Icarus, and he has a twin sister named Izetta. Lawrence is the older brother of my OC, Maisie, and I'll cover her in a later video as well. These two get their name inspo from AFMAU's characters, because if you don't know, I am obsessed with Minecraft Diaries, and I have been since like 2015, okay guys? And yeah, so their names aren't exactly the same as the characters, but I did pair them up because of their names. Also, their story is loosely based off of those characters' kind of like little plot that they have going on in that in My Street. Garth and Lawrence are both fighting for the affection of one girl until eventually they realize that it wasn't really the girl that they were interested in. They were actually just trying to impress each other, and eventually they do start dating, but in secret. Lawrence used to have a really close relationship with his sister as well, but after she got married, they started to drift apart, and after her death, he felt really quite guilty for not trying to be in her life a little bit harder. Only one with a strained relationship with his sister. Garth also has issues with his sister, Izetta. She's always getting into trouble, and he has to bail her out constantly, and he wishes that she would just be a little bit more responsible and wonders if him helping her is holding her back from taking the steps necessary to grow up. These guys share a profile. You can either draw them together, or if you just want to draw one, you can just draw one. Just make sure that if you do draw both, that you use the code twice to get the points that you very much deserve. I am always saying that you should be getting the points that you very much deserve. You can also draw them with any of the characters that I mentioned, but both Izetta and Icarus aren't up on my Artfight, so you can use the Toy House character code to still get those sweet, sweet points that you worked very hard for. Next up, we have Nezzy and Vlad, or their real names, Nesketa and Vinny. These two are very dear to me, so yeah. Vlad also gets his name from a character from Minecraft Diaries. It's spelt differently still, but it is from Minecraft Diaries. But it's also kind of a joke, because Vinny was told that he had to change his name to Vlad after he became a vampire, not realizing that they were just pulling a prank on him, and he's a little too prideful to admit to that, so he does tell everyone that he just wanted to change it to that anyways. Nezzy is half Scythe, half familiar, as well as being a vampire, but she's mostly taking after her Scythe mother, Esqueda. Nezzy is a Scythe of Maine Coons. Nezzy, when she was younger, was caught in a house fire, and this has caused her to be covered in large burns on her body. They have mostly healed, but the scars still remain, and she used to be quite self-conscious about them, but now she can't care less about how others feel. Well, at least that's what she says. She may wonder how things could have been different when she's all alone. When I say these two are very dear to me, I mean it. They're one of my oldest OC pairings, and they just mean a whole ton to me. They have 2 children, Ice Dessa and Peach Rise, and just like any of the other couples I mentioned in this video, you can either draw them together or on their own. Just put the code in twice if you draw them together because they do share a profile. If you want to draw their kids, they don't have an Artfight code, so you will have to use the Toy House character code. Now we have Sarzana and Ixuli, again a very dear to my heart pair. They are the ancestors of my OC Kistrana and that whole family line, which, if you don't know, Kistrana is one of my favoriteest OCs ever. Their love is so strong that it was reborn in Kistrana and Cass. Sarzana is also a very beloved figure during her life and even after, so much so that a large chunk of Oasis, which is the world that all of my OCs basically live in, base their faith around the pure lady Sarzana. The Church of Pure Light is also the main religion of Oasis, and this follows the teachings of Sarzana. But there are a couple other smaller churches that also follow Sarzana. And Ixuli is one of the oldest cases of Void Type 3 on Oasis. And just a little quickly, Void is an affliction in my world building that has 3 types. Type 3 is considered the most dangerous type, as it typically gives the affected party a monstrous form that comes out under great stress. You have to be born with this type. Ixuli very rarely turns into this monster form, only for brief periods after his first wife has died. He does remarry later and has another child. But that's not what this video is about. He also has such a small amount of void burning on his body that most people would have no idea that he has this affliction, and it's probably why he was still able to retain his royal authority where he was born. And again, you don't have to draw them together, but if you do, use the code twice because they do share a profile. Get those points that you very, very, very much deserve. We have just 3 pairs left, so let's get into them. Next is Calypso and Victory. I briefly mentioned them in my last video, as they both have very prominent roles in my story, Won't You Be My Nemesis? Calypso is the younger half-sister of Winter, and she happens to be very ill with Void Type 1. That's the kind that develops after a serious injury or illness. In Calypso's case, it started to develop when she was about 11. She knows that means that she will have a very short life, but she wants to live it to its most maximum, so she's living her best life she can. Has also been the front runner in developing treatments for people with Void that helps keep the spread of the burns at bay for much longer, and she even figured out a way to prevent it in certain cases for certain individuals. But it was far too long in herself, so her time was quite limited, and she decided that she wanted a child with her partner Victory so that they and their family would still have a piece of her left behind after she was gone. Calypso and Victory are absolute cuties for sure. Victory loves to brush his girlfriend's hair, and she hugs her very tightly because they know that their time is limited. Victory is also the prince of the Cry Kingdom, and because her older 2 sisters have gone missing, he is left as the sole heir and has a huge responsibility placed on his shoulders. Sometimes she worries that she can't handle all of this, but he stays strong for Calypso. Again, if you want to draw them together, you can, but you don't have to if you don't want to. They have their own character codes, so there is no need to double up for them. And also, just a little note, Morana is their daughter in case you wanted to do something with that. Oh, also, before I forget, they do have a Fantasy AU variant to their design. The refs are not done yet. I'm still really hard at work on refs, but they will hopefully either be done by the event or within the first week. I really want to put an emphasis on certain ones, so that's one of them. I'm not going to go into depth about their story in the Fantasy AU, as it's not as important as some of the other characters in my fantasy stories. Now that we have those out of the way, we can move on to my OCs, Clover, Clementine, and Ulf. Slight spoilers for my next OC redesign video that will come out after Artfight. I have decided I want to focus on these characters' videos after I have my sprites down. But if you don't want to be spoiled, you can skip ahead just a little bit. I will try and remember to put a little timestamp in the video so you can skip ahead if you do not want the spoilers for this. They are not a throuple. Clementine is the sole copy of Ulf's dead wife, Clover. So Ulf's wife was Clover. Clover died. Really, really long time later, Clementine is the clone of Clover, but not really a clone, just like a clone of her soul. Although Clementine is very much her own person, and she will tell you as such, her resemblance and her similar quirks are a little too uncanny sometimes, and all 3 of them have a digital form, which is basically my world's anthro characters, and a more humanoid version, which would be called a familiar. Either or is fine if you want to draw them. I don't mind. I don't have a preference for a humanoid or anthro version. Ulf, after seeing Clementine, feels as though he has seen a ghost and keeps her at an arm's length, not really wanting to get too close as he feels like this is some sort of trap. But after finding out about her being a soul copy and that she doesn't know that that's what she is. He starts to treat her just like he would Clover, or at least acting like she is still Clover. And this very much pisses Clementine off, and she confronts him about this, and that's when she finds out her nature and that she is in fact a soul clone. This leads to them having a fresh start, rebuilding a new and stronger relationship where Ulf doesn't try to use Clementine as a replacement for Clover, but instead as her own person. And all three of them have their own character profiles, so there is no need for doubling up points if you do decide to draw any of them together. And also, I do love art of Clover and Clementine together. I feel like they can have a really cute and fun, composition going on. I draw them together quite frequently. Also, Clementine and Ulf do end up having a daughter later named Ileana. She's not up on Artfight, so yeah, Toy House Code if you want to draw her. And the last pair, and well, actually, only one of them is mine. I did make the other character, but she belongs to my partner. We have Evelyn and Limerette. I mostly keep Evelyn up just in case someone wants to draw my partner's OC with her girlfriend, but a little about them. Limerette falls into the familiar class of creatures in Oasis, as she's kind of like a demon. I would say succubus, but it's more like just loosely based off of it, rather than anything concrete. And they don't go and corrupt people, so none of the actual lore for that. It's mostly just, she's a cute little pink demon lady. She's also kind of a serial dater and has a hard time sticking to just one person. Monogamy is not her friend, you could say at the beginning of her story. Evelyn is a Scythe familiar hybrid, her mother being a Scythe and her father being a dog familiar. Evelyn inherited traits from both, which is quite rare, so she is the Scythe of ravens, but she's also got little cute dog features. Evelyn has huge feelings for Limerette, super overwhelmingly strong feelings, but because of Limerette's bad relationship habits, this does lead to Evelyn feeling quite hurt and jealous on most occasions. And after putting up with these feelings for a really long time, she finally confronts Limerette about how she feels, and Limerette feels really bad about making Evelyn feel that way, because she does have feelings for Evelyn too. So they rebuild their friendship, and later they respark a relationship after they have formed a concrete foundation. My partner has a bunch of other really cute characters, some of which are shipped with my characters. So if you want to check that out, you totally can. He's on Team Tragedy, and I will link his Artfight down below. I love him so much. Alright, that's all the characters I wanted to talk about for this video, so let's move on to how my prep is going. I have a lot of references that are in several stages, and I'm still making pretty good progress on those. I actually finished a huge batch of them just today. I have a couple characters that I still do want to add to Artfight, but again, we'll see if I have time or whatnot. But I do know I'm going to add Oswald and my OC Echo at least this year. I'm also going to start prep for my attack border today as I'm making the script. Actually, as of recording this, I already did it, so we'll see how that looks during the event. I will also lock in and fix up my bio starting on Wednesday, which for me is tomorrow. I don't know what day it will be for when I post this. It may be the day I'm posting it or the day before, but yeah, I will also be adding the rest of my Goober Chibis I have done already to my profile then as well. We're in the final week of prep for the event before it starts, and I cannot emphasize to you how hyped I am. I cannot wait, but I will, because, reminder, starting attacks before the event starts is against the rules. Alright, I gotta get back to it. If you want to support me financially and get your name up at the end of my videos, you can become a Ko-fi or Patreon member to get rewards and behind-the-scenes content. You can also get a commission from me on my Ko-fi or my VGen. Just keep in mind that I will likely have most of these closed until mid-August, and if I do open them up before then, it will likely be just for Ko-fi and Patreon members over on my Discord. I may open up a few Your Character Here's or Cheebs as well during that time. We'll have to see. It just depends on how much money I need. You guys can leave a comment down below telling me if you have any OC pairs that you hope get attacked this year. Or if you aren't doing Artfight, just tell me about your OCs. I find a lot of joy in reading about other people's characters. If you liked the video, you can let me know by liking the video, subscribing, if you aren't already, and turning on those push notifications to know the next time that I post, which should hopefully be sooner rather than later. And until then, bye-bye!